Okay, this is a reaction video for Lost in the Pond. 4 ways British and American springtime is very different. Uh, Please click like, share, and subscribe with Lawrence of Lost in the Pond. And please click like, share, and subscribe for me as well. This is going to be interesting, I'm sure. 4 ways British and American springtime is very different.
And it would be untrue to say that badgers don't exist in the United States. Except they're not European badgers, they're American badgers. And the difference between the two badgers is subtle and at the same time really stark. Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to the seasons of the Earth, specifically springtime. Springtime is happening right now. It's a beautiful time when life begins
Yes, springtime is happening right now.
again, when we get to observe.
We all hate winter, or at least I hate winter, but let's see what is different, because I've never been to England before. One of these days I'll make it to England and see what springtime in England is like, but
The birds and the bees, and that's not a euphemism, Uncle Toby. And it's a time that both of our countries know very well, because in Britain and America and the entire Northern Hemisphere, the season of spring lasts from March the 20th through June the 21st. But aside from this common adherence to the vernal equinox, there are also a lot of differences in how springtime plays out in both Britain and America. I mean, of course there are, otherwise why would this video exist?
that's a good point. Why would I be watching this? Why would you be watching this with me?
And so while you sit back and chomp on America's second finest British import, Cadbury Mini Eggs, let America's finest British import tell you all about these differences.
I guess he's talking about you. Spring break, which doesn't exist if you have a job. It exists if you're a teacher, but it doesn't exist if you have a job. Nobody has spring break.
Let me start by telling you a story. When I studied at Lancaster University in England 20 years ago, there were a lot of American students. This was my first real introduction to Americans in a social setting. They talked a lot about this thing called spring break.
Yeah, if you're in college or in high school, spring break is 1 week off from school, and it's something people like to go down to, either like a place like South Padre Island or Daytona Beach, places like that.
As in, Lawrence, what are your plans for spring break, but in an American accent? Well, I don't really have any. I'll probably just go home, visit the parents, overdo it on the mini eggs as
That's not what you're supposed to do.
usual. You? I don't know, I might backpack around Europe, or visit France or Italy, meet the Pope, you know. And it occurred to me that American students
You can meet the Pope.
treated spring break with way more intensity than us Brits. Like, every one of them wanted to go on holiday/vacation, and for us, it's not that we don't do those things, but we just don't feel we have to. And there might be a good reason as
Well, you really don't have to. I mean, it's just something that a lot of people like to do.
to why this is. You see, I found out that in America, colleges only give students about 1 to 2 weeks of holiday time.
Usually 1 week.
I'm in spring, meaning that, I don't know, American students feel more compelled to cram in as much excitement as possible with
Yes.
so little time, which is amazing, because in Britain we get about twice that amount. And, you know, I don't mean to gloat, but it's very rare that things are bigger in Britain. But at the university level, they are. My American wife was shocked to find that at Lancaster we got 4 weeks. Oh, and also in Britain, we don't really call it spring break. There it's known as the Easter holidays.
Easter holidays. Weather. It's got to be crappier in Britain than in America. I got to think that.
And the Easter holidays was usually
Depending on where you are, though. But if you're in Florida, it's probably a lot nicer than it is in Britain.
the time that I experienced some of my favourite weather.
I'm not in Florida.
I'm not all about extremely hot climates, and certainly not extremely cold ones, Chicago. British springtime is reasonably dry and usually mild, with spring temperatures averaging in the 40s or 50s Fahrenheit.
It's not too terribly bad, but I would like it a little bit warmer, maybe like in the 70s and 85-degree Fahrenheit.
American audience. And in America, there are in fact some places that experience similar mildness, I don't know the word, including right here in Chicago, but more accurately the Pacific Northwest, where spring temperatures get wildly different from Britain, are on the south coast in places like Florida, where spring averages are between 65 and 75 degrees, hence why all the students go there. On the other hand, the statewide average for springtime temperatures in the state of Alaska is approximately 25 degrees.
I've been to Alaska before, and what they tell me in Alaska is Alaska has 2 seasons, July and the rest of the year.
Fahrenheit, which is roughly Chicago's
I'm taking July is the best time to go there if you want warm.
average, in January. One thing that is partly dictated by the climate of our countries is the blooming flowers, as in flowers that bloom, not as in a euphemism for the word bloody.
That is true.
And today I want to specifically talk about wildflowers, because during my first spring in the United States, I was amazed to discover that Britain and America shared some of the same wildflowers. And you might be thinking, ooh, Lawrence, this is meant to be a video about British and American springtime differences, not similarities. Well, hold your seahorses, because while there are some similarities between British and American wildflowers, those similarities are different, and I realise that doesn't make any sense. But it will if you pay attention.
You've got my undivided attention.
Growing up in Britain, long before I became a certified YouTube sensation, there were just
Yeah, YouTube sensation. It gets more than I do, so I guess he is.
certain wildflowers that would poke out of the ground in spring that you would see and occasionally eat when you were sick and bored. And for me, the ones that immediately spring to mind are as follows. Firstly, common bluebells, and you have to be very careful about how you spell that. This is a well-known wildflower in Britain, but not so in the United States.
I've never seen a bluebell before.
Oh, hold up there, Lawrence. Of course we have bluebells here. Yeah, but common
Not where I live.
bluebells aren't native to the United States. They were introduced by Europeans. However, there is a type of bluebell that is native to the United States, and that is the Virginia bluebell, which is not to be found outside of North America, which is why some people call it the Freedom bluebell. At least that's what I call it. Nobody else calls it that. And then
I've never seen a Virginia bluebell.
there's the common dandelion, and you see these everywhere in Britain, and when I was a child I was told that if you sniff them you'd wee the bed. I think that was a lie started
Yeah, that's a lie.
by parents everywhere. And
I don't know why they tell that lie. It makes you, I guess they don't want you to sniff it, but that is what it is.
while the common dandelion, which emerges in springtime, is native to Britain, it did not exist in the United States until the 17th century when it was brought here by European settlers,
Why were you bringing that crap over here? What the heck was wrong with you people?
who valued it for its medicinal purposes.
What, did it cure the what? What did it cure?
Sadly, somebody forgot to tell them that it's also an invasive species, which can only account for why America later gave Britain the grey squirrel.
Yep.
Basically, most of the major wildflowers that I grew up with in Britain seem to have been introduced to the United States by Europeans. The same is true with woodland forget-me-nots, and even the English daisy, which leads to one question: how did American children make bracelets before this?
I don't know.
I have to say, I absolutely loved springtime in Britain, especially when certain animals would come out of hibernation. And no, I'm not talking about me, although that is valid. No, I'm talking about, for example, hedgehogs. I loved hedgehogs because every spring and summer they would appear in my back garden, and they had the same haircut that I did. It also helped that I was a massive fan of Sonic the Hedgehog too. And I just imagine that since Sonic the Hedgehog is a huge game and now movie franchise in the United States, that hedgehogs would be all the rage over here.
No, not so much.
And it turns out they're not native to the United States. I haven't seen a single hedgehog in about 15 years.
I haven't seen a hedgehog at all.
And in
Apart from the Sonic movies, I see that hedgehog all the time, but I don't see an actual hedgehog walking around outside in my place.
springtime, usually around April, is when European badger cubs, the cutest things you've ever seen, first say hello to the world. And it would be untrue to say that badgers don't exist in the United States, except they're not European badgers.
Yeah, badgers do exist here.
They're American badgers, and the difference between the two badgers is subtle and at the same time really stark, because the American badger closely resembles some sort of hell demon that wouldn't
Yes, so you don't mess with badgers in the United States.
think twice about destroying you and your friends. And the biggest difference between both countries' emerging animals at this time of year seems to be how worrying they are for humans. So while Britain sees the emergence of toads, frogs, chiffchaffs, cuckoos, and a number of largely harmless insects, America just wheels out black bears for fun and mosquitoes that bite.
Yeah, black bears, but I don't get a lot of black bears around here. But mosquitoes, I believe every mosquito that's born has one job in life, and that's to find me and bite me, take a bite out of me. That's what I believe every mosquito's job is.
Bite your face off. And black widow spiders that look like they were the brainchild of Dr. Robotnik. Now, disclaimer,
Who's Dr. Robotnik?
it is very rare that you see these animals, but that's what makes them frightening. I could open my cupboard and there could be a black bear eating ice cream for
Unlikely, not where you live.
all I know. It hasn't happened yet, but I have ordered a suit of armour. Just know that if you're a fan of both the spring and animals, your experience of both countries will be wildly different.
completely.
Like, I live in Chicago and I saw what I was told was a coyote. Ain't no one seeing that in Britain. That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments below.
I don't see very many coyotes where I live, and I'm not too far. Well, a couple states over, but I'm in Columbus, Ohio. He's in Chicago, so about 5-hour drive away. But I've never seen a coyote.
Your favorite spring thing. I'm Lawrence Brown. You can follow me on Twitter at Lost in the Pond US, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that my videos don't get lost in the pond.
Yes, don't get them lost in the pond. Please subscribe to Lawrence and share with Lawrence as well, and please do the same for me. Like and subscribe. This was interesting. 4 ways British and American springtime is very different. Quite interesting. But yeah, like I said, please click like, share, and subscribe, and have a good rest of your day.